Welcome back, everybody, to the Influencer Insights podcast. Today we have Niki Middleton from Calgary, Alberta, joining us. She's an international model. She's done a whole bunch of TV and film modeling work across the world. She's been published in British Vogue twice. I'd be impressed with once, but she's been there twice now. She's award-winning with the Indigenous Metis international model at 15 and 17, international fitness sports model, international TV host, history of the Wrangler via the Cowboy channel was the show that she was the TV host for, international ambassador and influencer for 15 years, 2022 finalist in Miss Elegance of the World in the UK, federal security officer in search and rescue, and also a Organo organic coffee and tea distributor as well. So she's done a whole bunch of stuff. And something I found really cool is that she's on the Internet Movie Database with the IMDb. So that's one of the first people we've had on the podcast that has a link on that site too. So welcome, Niki. So glad to have you, and glad to have you taking time to share with us today in the group, bringing some of your expertise to share. So can you give us a little background? That's kind of the overview of your story and your career, but do you want to give us a little overview of what you're working on now and where you're going and that sort of thing?
Hello, hi. I jumped into recession hit, so I never wanted to be a model or actress. I was corporate world and senior bodily injury adjuster, loved what I did, liked being in the cubicle, thought that was the way things were going to go. And 15 years later, working for myself and having an agent, I couldn't see going back into a cubicle ever again. So it's funny how life takes you in a direction you didn't expect, but yes, that's what makes life exciting as well.
Yes.
33 years old, I fell into acting and modeling and fitness modeling. It just kind of all went into that direction. I'd quit smoking and couldn't handle myself, and no one else could handle me. So that's how I ended up into the gym, and it just kind of tied into modeling, became a personal trainer. And overall, the first 3 years, I realized, hey, I can tie acting, modeling, and fitness modeling together, use my many years of sales and marketing background, and just brand myself and sell myself per se. I'm part Indigenous, so I'm not full Caucasian. The reason I mention that is because I'm only 5'6". Because I'm a bodybuilder, I'm a size 10 or a size medium. I have a 9-inch scar around the left side of my body from kidney operation that went wrong. I had to have eye surgery on my left eyelid because they call it what's called a lazy eyelid. So if I'm really tired, you'll see the difference. So I have to use eye drops to open it up before I model or act. So and I have anxiety disorder. So you put that all together, and if you put that on paper, most people would say, oh, well, modeling's definitely not a thing, perhaps acting, because acting, they need all different types of people. But then there's me who's like, well, whatever. And plus, modeling is not about being beautiful. Modeling's about how does the camera like you. I have beautiful friends that are not photogenic. So the number one thing is photogenic. And I mean, 15 years later, things have changed in the modeling world. We never had Indigenous modeling. We never had alternative. We never had Instagram models. We never had fitness models. We never had plus size or curvy models. So things are ever changing as well. When I started in it 15 years ago, it was starting to change, but not a lot.
Right.
And then you have the war about hobbyists compared to when I got into it, I didn't consider myself a model until I actually had paid work and until I actually had a career of it where I was actually paying my bills doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm not cutting down models. I'm just saying there is a difference between a hobby and a career. And
Mhm.
I think that's where a lot of the mess in the industry is happening, because then there's that quotation, everybody's a model.
Right.
So if you're going to break it down, I'm definitely not telling anybody not to try it. I'm not telling anybody you're not good at it. I'm just saying there's a difference between a hobby and a career.
Absolutely.
And that's where people are fighting. And that's where there's too much TFP, which is called time for print.
Mhm.
Which means that the newer photographer gets together with the newer model and they make something together, and nobody's paying the other person. They're paying each other in time, which is great. But then you're getting these attitudes from these girls that are saying, oh, I'm a model. And so it just makes it harder for somebody like me who is, it's actually my career. I traveled the world modeling.
Mhm.
So but that's always going to be a fight, the chicken and the egg scenario, because photographers say, well, models should pay me, and models say, well, photographers should pay me. The rule I came into the industry was with whoever contacted the other person first should be the one who pays. So if I contact a photographer and say, hey, I want to do this shoot, and they say, okay, well, this is my rate, I shouldn't be upset about that, but vice versa.
That's right.
On the other hand, as a career model, if somebody contacts me and says, would you be willing to do TFP? I don't sit there and go, don't you know who I am? How dare you contact me? How hard is it to say, well, thank you very much, but I'm not interested? Because I don't care. I'm 15 years in. My fan base is almost 50,000 internationally. Cool. And I don't sit there and say I'm above TFP, because sometimes when you do a career, sometimes it is fun to do a collaboration. There's another term, if you want to call it TFP. Sometimes I do free collaborations because it's fun. Mm-hmm. There's not the pressure of getting paid. There's not the pressure of the client. So it's kind of my hobby day. It's fun. And sometimes I want something for my portfolio, and people helped me get into the industry. So why can't I take time to help somebody else? I'm very into women empowerment. I'm very into anti-bullying. So why can't we empower each other, lift each other up? It's a competition, but if I'm competing and somebody with less experience gets the job above me, good for them.
That's right.
But life isn't always fair. It's not. In this industry, if you think it's all about your experience, there's the problem, because unfortunately, on the acting side of things, on the modeling side of things, fitness modeling, brand ambassador work, a lot of times it's who you know, not what you know. So I think people go into it blinded, thinking it's going to be a big celebrity lifestyle. And don't get me wrong, I've had amazing opportunities, traveled the world. I work with and know many Hollywood celebrities that are friends of mine, etc. But they're co-workers. And I realize it is who you know, not what you know all the time. So if you can get that out of your mind and look at it as, it's not that different from when I had a corporate job. I'm still going to work, and there's still going to be people that are mean, and there's going to be things that are unfair, and that's just the way life is. So I think you need to be open-minded and logical about it. The other piece of people say, why do you have 6 careers? Well, because you can't just be an actor, can't just be a model, you can't just be a fitness model, you can't just be a brand ambassador and pay your bills.
That's right.
You need to be multifaceted, especially when the pandemic hit. I had to switch into a completely different career. I was just coming back from Scotland. I'd got an international modeling award, an international Indigenous acting award.
Cool.
Flying back from Scotland as the pandemic's hitting and
Oh boy.
thinking, oh crap, what am I going to do now? Like the award's not going to pay my bills.
Yeah.
I don't think my mortgage company will take my awards in trade. So I took my transferable skills, took some training and switched into security for a while.
Sure.
So you have to be able to be a strong person and roll with the punches, because any industry's tough, but the entertainment industry is its own beast. And I think that people look at, oh, it's going to be so exciting. And then when they get into it, they can't handle it. And it's
a lot of
not
work.
what they thought it was going to be. So if you're not a strong person, strong-willed, tenacious, and driven, the industry is going to eat you up and spit you out. Yeah. And I'm not being negative. I'm just being honest about it.
When you got started in the industry, because you mentioned you were in your 30s, which is really cool because a lot of people think you got to be young, right? But what was kind of because I mean, you were getting into fitness and that sort of thing. What was the caveat? Was it a connection that you made, or what kind of allowed you to get into the industry once you were there?
Well, it was funny because I never dreamed of it. And like I said, because I'm 47 now, when modeling was a thing back when I was like 16, 17, 18, it was cut and dry. You better be tall, you better be thin, you're going to age out by 19, etc. Like it was very, girls were starving themselves. Like it wasn't a very good industry. Like I said, there was no openings for being different or unique in any way. You had to be the cookie cutter model.
Yeah.
So, and I grew up with 5 years of braces and glasses, and from grade 3 to my adult years. So all through school, I was bullied.
Okay.
And then when I got into the corporate world, you'd be amazed how many adult bullies there is. So kind of the ugly duckling story. I was very insecure, very quiet, very not the person I am today.
Yeah.
And then I guess when a friend of my ex-husband's, who's a photographer, is like, well, let's give modeling a try. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. Not that I was insecure, but you still have damage from childhood damage. Stays with you no matter if you have a healthy lifestyle, mentally healthy, counseling, etc., it still stays with you on some level.
Yes.
So, but I was like, okay, why not? And then I was shocked when I realized that I was photogenic. And I'm very career driven. I'm a workaholic, which helps.
I hear you.
And realized, well, there's money to be made with this.
Yeah.
I have the connection, and recessions hit. I need to do something. So, okay, I guess so I just started digging on the business side and started looking and did my research.
Sure.
I always tell people, arm yourself with knowledge.
Yes.
So I did my research to figure out, well, how can I do this? How do I get started? What are my next steps? Can I make money with this?
Yeah.
And then it just all fell into place from there. So I just did research and jumped in and figured out, okay, how can I do this?
If somebody was kind of at that same place where they're like, I know I got to make a business out of this, what would be like 3 things that you tell people to study up or start on right now? Besides getting,
I would say have an actual job.
Okay.
And look into the modeling. Most girls want to model, not a lot want to act. So I'll just talk more about the acting or modeling side.
Sure.
Look into how you can do free. Facebook, social media has tons of model TFP websites.
Yeah.
So my first step is look into it, give it a try. It sounds exciting. I want to tell my friends I model, and everyone goes, ooh, you're a model.
Yeah.
But try it. You'll see, like a 3-hour shoot sounds like nothing And then you're like, holy moly, people think that modeling's easy. You're pretty, you strike a pose, and a story. No,
Done deal.
there's work involved. It's a lot of work, mentally and physically, to get the shots.
Sure.
Find out if you like it. You might do one shoot and go, you know what? It's not even my thing. So go do some free stuff, see if you like it. Okay, I do like it. How do I make money out of it? Well, let's be honest, like, you have to build your experience and build your persona out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to do photo shoots to do that. You need to get experience. While you're doing that, I always tell people, for lack of a better term, have a real job that pays your bills, and then do a hobby. Just like people have a real job and then they go play baseball as a hobby on the side, right?
That's right.
Have it as a hobby. And then if you can build it into a business and be self-sufficient just with modeling, do that.
Yeah.
Or maybe you might be just happy working full-time Monday to Friday at your real job and modeling on the side for pay. You can still tell people I'm a model, and you're just going to be a part-time model.
That's right.
So you need to make sure you finish your education. We've gone through 4 recessions in the last 15 years, the pandemic being the last one. So nothing's guaranteed.
That's right.
Arm yourself with as much knowledge and education to fall back on, and transferable skills.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. And like I said, modeling shut right down for a couple years, basically. 2 years,
yeah.
So have something to fall back on. Have your finish your education. Like I said, you don't have to be 13 to 18 to model and then you age out. So if you're young, take the time to finish college, university, take the time to explore whatever corporate job you're looking at, and model on the side. And then if you can build it into a full-time business, you can always let go of the corporate job. And then if modeling falls through later, go back to the corporate job. Always have a fallback plan, because life is too unpredictable.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think for people that are kind of like on the edge? They're like, oh, well, yeah, I've got a job, or I'm thinking of getting a job, but I'm kind of, maybe there's a little insecurity or hesitation just because they, what are people going to think if I'm in my job and then I'm doing this on the side? And do you have any advice for those kind of feelings?
Well, here's a good scenario. I was 18. Playboy approached me. I was raised by my grandparents. At that time, Playboy was very taboo.
Yeah, no joke.
We're talking, I'm going to say 1989.
Okay.
I'm not very good at math. I'm a model.
Before the internet, yeah.
So my grandmother's like, she was harsh about it. She said, I don't care what you do, but you're trying to finish your corporate. She said, finish your education, get a corporate job, and then if you want to do something like that, do it. I will disown you if you do something like that, because it was taboo at the time. She was harsh about it, but it was good advice, because I finished my career and look where I am now.
Yeah.
At the time, it was taboo. The reason I'm mentioning that is, going back to your question, is look where things like Playboy is now. It became a household name. Nobody really cared what you did on your free time. If you're going to go on to social media and badmouth your corporate job, they're going to fire you.
Yeah,
if you're going to go be a model on the side, what do they care? It's not affecting. Things aren't the way they were before.
True.
So if people are worried about their business doing that, a lot of girls, what they'll do is, let's use Facebook as an example.
Sure.
So Facebook will have Tina Smith, her personal, and then she'll be Mercedes Benz. She'll pick a model name and do social media under the model name and keep them separate. True. So it doesn't bother me Niki Middleton's my real name. It's my public. It's my personal. For most people, though, they want to keep their corporate, their business
separate.
Like you said, they're worried about how is that going to affect it. You can keep it two separate things. You're not lying, and it's not the business's business what you do on the side or as another job.
Sure.
So if you're going to get into the industry, just pick a public persona and stick to that and build your model business under that persona name.
Yep. That's good advice.
And that way you've kept it separate. And warning, not, we've come a long way, but there's still going to be friends and family out there that if you wear a bikini, that's being hustler or playboy like.
Right.
You're not going to make everybody happy.
That's right.
So keep in mind, you're going to have friends and family that might not support you, or they don't know enough about the industry. So they feel like, oh, you're going to starve yourself to death. You're going to get chewed up and spit out. Everyone's going to think that you're slutty because you wore lingerie, whatever the case. So you got to keep that in mind. You can't make everybody happy. So you have to decide what is good for you.
Yeah.
But do your homework and figure out the best way to start things so that you don't have that issue later.
Yep.
So I would say have your personal Facebook for friends and family, and then have your modeling one.
Cool.
And that way it keeps it, but you have to realize too that social media is a public forum. So don't be upset if you're putting risque photos on your public forum, Facebook for modeling that young children and everybody can see. Don't be surprised if people complain and get you thrown off there. So you have to realize that social media is not you're not paying for it. It's not your personal website.
That's right.
So you might, if you're going to do risque things like that, you may want to look into a personal website for your modeling as well.
Sure.
Depending what type of risque you're doing.
Yep.
But I'm not cutting that down. I'm not judging it, but you have to keep those things in mind when you're building your business and you're building your brand. These are the things you have to look at. Because everybody's got an opinion.
Well, and there's a certain level of professionalism in everything, right? And if you go through the right channels, you look like you're more serious about it too, right? If you put that together.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Cool. No, that's really good advice. For people that are just starting out, if they're going to go do some TFP or something like that, what are some general safety rules and that kind of thing that you would watch for and things you would avoid altogether?
If the photographer will not allow you to bring someone with you for safety, you do not need to work with that photographer. Every model has the right to bring somebody with them. Mm-hmm. And if they make you feel bad about that or say, oh, that's not professional, oh, I don't allow that, that's a red flag right there.
Yeah.
As a female, don't go work with a male and not bring somebody with you for safety. You have that right, and don't let them, it doesn't matter where you live in the world, you have a right to be safe.
Absolutely.
And there's too many that think that, oh, I don't have that right, and they do, or they're bullied with, we call it guy with camera. Anybody can buy a camera and advertise themselves as a photographer.
Yeah.
So look at what work they have too. If they have a Facebook site and they have 2 photos and they don't have a photo of themselves and it's just a full-on red flag.
Yeah.
Don't go. Trust your gut and don't be so wanting to do modeling that you're not going to listen to your own gut feeling just to go do a photo shoot.
That's right.
It's not worth it in the end.
That's right.
You don't need to be bullied and assaulted. So some of them will say, okay, you can bring somebody, but it can't be a husband or boyfriend. That's fair.
Right.
I agree with that because I have friends who are photographers, and there's been scenarios where the boyfriend or the husband doesn't really agree with their person modeling. They're insecure, whatever, male testosterone. I'm not cutting down males, but I'm saying the male photographer is trying to work with the female. Okay, turn a little more this way, that'll look a little sexier. And then the husband or boyfriend's like, how dare you? And then all of a sudden the photographer is uncomfortable or at risk. Like, the photographer deserves safety as well.
Of course.
So you should be able to bring somebody with you, but I do understand if they don't want it to be a husband or boyfriend. I understand that scenario.
Cool.
So you just need to trust your gut feeling and watch out for red flags.
Yep.
Plus, bringing somebody with you protects both sides as well. That's protecting the photographer and the model, because now you have a witness. The model can't say, oh, the photographer touched me, or the photographer can't say the model did whatever. You have a witness, you're covering yourself. The photographer would be smart to have a female assistant just to cover their own butt as well. So you got to look at these things, because there's people out there who will say things that never happened. And if you don't have a witness, it's a he said, she said, and it's dangerous for everybody involved. So just be safe and smart about it, basically.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's some really good advice and stuff. So just going through your list of accomplishments and the things that you've done, I mean, there's probably so many memories.
Reading material before bed.
It's so fantastic, and I'm so glad to have you sharing here. But what are some highlights, some trips that you took, or some memories that you reflect back on? You're like, man, I'd do that over and over again, or got some favorite shoots and stuff that you've done? Or
my favorite, I always go back to, is Scotland. Cool. I love Scotland. The people are warm and friendly. I've obtained 4 awards in the last couple of years from them, but that's not why I love Scotland.
That helps. Yeah.
I'm very into medieval and castles and things. I'm also a part-time avocational archaeologist.
Oh, so cool.
I love history.
Sure.
And I love medieval things. So to me, being able to go look and touch castles thrills me, which is funny because people live there. You've seen one castle, you've seen them all. Just like where I live here in Calgary, Alberta, we're known for our beautiful mountains.
Right.
We take it for granted because we see them outside our door all the time.
Yes.
They're the same with the castles. They're like, oh yeah, a castle.
Another castle.
And meanwhile, I'm like, yay. So yeah, Scotland's just like a small little town. Everybody's so warm and welcoming. Wow. And it's just beautiful there. So that's one of my favorites. Another one, I can't get into too big of details because of NDA, which is non-disclosure agreements that you sign, and then you can't say anything till it comes out. So people know you're doing something. That's a frustrating part of my industry, whether you're modeling or acting. You can't tell anybody about what you're doing because you've signed these agreements.
Yes.
But you want to tell somebody because it was exciting. I recently filmed a reality TV show in South Africa, and that was a trip of a lifetime for me. It was on my bucket list for sure. So, and beautiful there as well. So, I'd say those are my top 2 in the last 15 years. It's ever changing. So far, those are my favorite things that's happened. Cool. I got to film for acting side recently. It just came out, the new Predator movie, Prey.
Okay.
Was very excited to be part of that for sure. It was fantastic, and it was filmed all here in Alberta.
Right.
And the majority of it was filmed right on the native Indigenous reserve, which was
Cool.
So I was really proud to be part of that as being an Indigenous BIPOC Métis woman. That was
That's right.
very exciting as well. And then we just finished wrapping season 2 of my TV show. It's called the Alberta History Wrangler. It's international on the Cowboy channel. And I'm the host of the Indigenous portion of that TV show.
Cool.
And I'm proud of that because I even have my own intro song that was made for me. So that
Right
was
on.
exciting. We just finished season 2, and my hubby got to be part of it this year as well. So he got to jump in and do some TV hosting. So that was a fun couple days together. He's a teacher, but he likes to act and model on the side. So
cool.
And I'm just waiting to hear. I might have my first billboard at New York Times Square in New York and Paris is the first time for having International Indigenous Fashion Week be part of New York and Paris.
Wow.
And I'm just waiting to see if I will be part of the billboard portion of that on Times Square.
That would be very cool.
Every girl wants their own billboard before they retire. Like,
yeah,
it's on my bucket list. We'll see what happens with that. But
yep.
I mean, honestly, every day is an adventure. There's always something happening and new things come up. Like I said, it's what you know or who you know, not what you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's exciting. But I've also learned people that started in the industry with me or weren't a big deal per se 10 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. I always remained professional, easy to work with. And some of them that became a huge deal later on remembered, oh, you know what? Niki was really good to work with. And she was very authentic. And they've ended up tracking me down and hiring me because of that. So always maintain a professional, easygoing attitude because honestly, models are a dime a dozen. If you want to be hard to deal with, they can find other models. There's always going to be prettier and taller and whatever you want to call it, the old adage, there's always going to be somebody that can take your place. So if you think that you're indispensable, that's a problem as well.
Yeah.
That's why I leave it realistically. I'm very proud of my accomplishments. I'm very good at what I do, but I know that if I want to be a diva, there's going to be somebody else they can call that can take my place in a hot minute.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many people competing for the same attention all the time, right? So
exactly.
What about just a little more personal? Like, do you have? I mean, you're caught a lot of goals and that kind of thing. That's amazing that you're moving. Do you have any regular daily routines or rituals or things that you've done that have kind of helped build your personality so you know how to work with people and that sort of thing? Or
definitely a health routine makes a huge difference on anything you do.
Sure.
I'm very fussy about getting enough sleep. I'm very fussy about 4 liters of water a day. I'm very fussy about a proper meal plan. If you're not fueling your body mentally and physically, there's an issue. I think everybody needs counseling of some type. Nobody's perfect. I'm very fussy about, I see a spiritual counselor.
Cool.
I'm very fussy about keeping things. I'm a survivor. I'm part of Stand Against Sexual Assault. Their
cool.
ad campaigns. I'm a survivor of domestic abuse mentally and physically. I'm a sexual assault survivor. I'm a survivor of bullying.
Right.
No matter how confident or how much healing I've done, there's still damage that you carry with you from childhood to adulthood. So I'm very good at processing and dealing with things on my own, but I'm also very good at realizing that it's okay. It's nice to have a sounding board. About once a month, I try and sit down with my counselor and just go through how things are going, the ups and downs, vent a bit, whatever I need to do.
Sure.
Because downside of my industry is, well, I'm very unique within the industry because I have so much going on. I'm not just modeling or just acting.
Right.
But on top of it, I don't know anybody who is in the same category as me and does the same thing as me full time.
Right.
I don't know other acting, modeling, fitness modeling professionals that I can sit down with as you would a regular coworker and talk things out and say, oh, did you have this happen? Or so my sounding board, I have great people in my life I can rely on and support me, but I don't have anybody that knows the situation I'm in that can relate to it. So having a counselor is the closest I can get to helping me relate to my unique experiences and stress that I go through with my careers.
Right. Cool. And have you had a counselor kind of right from a long time, or did you stumble upon them more recently? Or?
After my divorce, because I got out of a domestic situation.
Okay.
And because I was raised by my grandparents, old school, you don't just throw a marriage away because it's hard, but I had to wrap around my head that no, I am married to a narcissist and it's abuse and I need to get out.
Yep.
So so just to have a clean slate and start over, as soon as I asked for divorce, I went into counseling.
Okay.
Just so that I could clear everything that was going on and any guilt I felt, etc. And start fresh and new, because I knew it was a new, fresh start. Yeah. So it was around that time, 8 years ago, that I started into the counseling, because I grew up in the time of, only crazy people need counseling. But none of us are perfect. We all have some kind of damage and stress that we don't know how to deal with. So it takes a very strong, I always thought you're weak if you admit that there's an issue, or because I was bullied for so many years. Oh, that's weakness. I'm not going to show weakness. No, it takes a very strong person to realize, you know what? I need some help. I can't do it all on my own. Even mountains crumble. You can't do it on your own. You need to have a strong support system around you. And a lot of people don't have friends and family that can support them. I'm lucky that I do, but I need that little extra because of the situation. Like I said, I have such unique careers, right?
Sure.
So I would say that make sure you have a strong support system in place to go into the entertainment industry, because like I said, until you get into it, you don't understand that it's a beast of its own.
Sure.
If you're doing it as a hobby, it's not quite the same. But if you're doing it as a career, it's its own beast.
Yeah, that's pretty good advice, because I think everybody thinks anything that they haven't seen, from the inside out, you don't always realize all the things that go on inside of it, right? Too. So
no, you just go, oh wow, what an exciting lifestyle, and I can tell everyone I'm an actor and I'm a model and life is good and I'll get paid big money and travel the world and have no cares or hardships. No, people want to attack you. The bigger you are in life, and bigger celebrity you are, the more people want to attack you.
Yes.
The good thing about where I live is in Canada, we are not the same as the rest of the world. We're not into tabloids and paparazzi, and we don't follow reality stars or any other type of stars. We're like, oh yeah, there's a star, whatever. We're not the same. So I don't have to have a bodyguard, and I don't have to have someone shop for me, and I don't have to worry about paparazzi following me. I'm lucky that way. We don't live, Canadians aren't about all that.
Yeah.
But if I did live outside of Canada, I'm large enough that I would have those issues. So I'm really happy to live where I am. And because I talk to agents outside of Canada, and they're like, you did your own shopping and you don't have a bodyguard. Like they can't wrap their head around the fact that we don't look at celebrityism the
That's right.
same way as the rest of the world. So
Yeah.
it's pretty funny. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm okay. And plus I'm my own bodyguard. That's what I do for a living.
That's
So
right.
it's all good. But they don't understand. They can't wrap their head around
Totally
any
different.
of that.
Huh.
Yeah,
Well,
it's funny.
we're just nice as Canadians, I think, right? And that's a big part of it too, right? So
Well, we're low key.
culture. Yes.
Yeah, so they don't realize, because as soon as I cross the border, then all of a sudden,
Is that right, eh?
yeah,
Touchdown
there's
and-
a difference. People recognize you, and there's that more of a mob mentality. Yeah.
That's interesting. I think sometimes Canadians, you've seen a lot of young people kind of pop up and stuff out of Canada, even for breaking into the US market. And I think there's some level of just that culture that we have that's just a little bit easier to work with in these big companies and stuff. And
we're a little more down to earth and low key about things.
Yeah.
Like even my red carpet events, international film festival, anything that's Canadian, I don't get mobbed the same way on red carpets. People are polite. When I'm doing the other side, another thing I do for modeling is cosplay every year at the entertainment expos. Some places call them comic expos. There, I don't even get mobbed. People are a lot more polite about, oh, could I have your autograph? Oh, thank you. Is it okay if I hug you? But you go outside of Canada and you're like, whoa, okay, I need space. Like, it's a right. It's almost a right to hug me, and it's a right to get my autograph.
Is that right?
And you're like, wait a minute, like personal space here. And you tend to forget, like when things shut down for a while, and then I traveled outside of country again recently to Scotland, I noticed a difference, and I'd forgotten the difference because I was kind of protected and comfortable in my own little world for a year, right? And then bam, it's like, okay, yes, it's not your right to have my autograph, and it's not your right to whatever, but they don't know any better. That's the norm, right?
That's right.
So it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Interesting.
Canada's just different. Anywhere else in the world, people are super impressed about me being published in Vogue twice.
Mm-hmm.
Little Alberta here, Canada, people are like, meh, whatever.
Cool.
Good for you. I don't care. So it's kind of, there's an upside and a downside to being Canadian, I guess.
Yeah,
you don't get mobbed, but yet nobody's real impressed that you're a celebrity. So I can't win. I don't know.
That's good. Well, it's safe to be at home too, and that's kind of nice. I always, anywhere I go in the world, when I come down, we touch down on home ground. It just feels good to be back home. So
exactly, it's true.
Yeah.
So I just got to prepare myself for New York. It's been 3 years since I've been there, so I got to remember the whole hustle bustle part of it, right? But
yeah. So you're headed off to New York and anywhere else in the near future here, or?
September 10th is New York, and then September 30th, October 1st is Paris Fashion Week.
Right on.
So those are the two.
Very exciting.
Paris is on my bucket list, and that I'm going to add a couple extra days to actually have a vacation, because I've worked over 2 years solid, almost 2 years solid with no vacation, because I mean, pandemic hit, travel is a mess, etc. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing Paris and relax.
Good. Have you been to Paris before, or is this?
Oh, this is first time is Paris, and my bucket list had Paris on it, because they call it the Big Four. So New York, London, Milan, and Paris are the Big Four for runways in the industry. And Paris was the only one I haven't walked the runway yet. So, and again, it's bigger deal because it's International Indigenous Fashion Week. That's part of Paris Fashion Week. And it's the first time we've ever done it. So it's a huge deal. I'm representing my Indigenous culture. So that makes it a larger deal. Yeah,
no, for sure. That's a huge, ceiling to break through to get those things happening and stuff like that too, right? So Wow. Very
Well,
exciting.
Canada is the largest for missing and murdered Indigenous women. So,
Mhm.
and the residential school situation that a lot of the world has no idea about,
Yes.
and the 60 scoop, which is a separate thing.
Right.
So yeah, Indigenous, the world's becoming aware of Indigenous, and we're the it people right now.
Sure.
So, and that'll probably change, unfortunately. That's how the industry
Things
is.
cycle. Yep.
So I feel it's my responsibility, because I'm a public figure and influential, and I am Indigenous. While we're the it people, is the time for me to speak
Yes.
out and
Stand up.
really help propel change and healing, and education, educate people.
Sure.
Most people have no idea what Indigenous Métis is, or Indigenous, or nobody really knows. So
Right.
it's a time for me to reach out and really show the world what we're about and who we are.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's so exciting, and glad that you're taking that responsibility, because it's, great duty to fulfill there. So, any other ambitions in the next couple of years that you want to hit, targets or anything like that before? I don't know,
That's
whatever the
always
next step will
such
be.
a huge,
It is.
open-ended
It
question,
is.
because it's ever changing for me. And the only other one on my list for the model side of things is Dubai, and it might be next year, it looks
That'd be
like.
cool.
So that'll be exciting. I've always wanted to see Dubai. That's a really hard question, because I've done so much and I've accomplished so much.
Yes. Yep.
That I know there's always more,
Mhm.
but until that comes up, I'm not sure what that more is at the
Sure.
moment.
That's all right.
So because I never expected to be a reality TV personality, and that just kind of popped up. So to be honest, some people are adrenaline junkies, and I guess that's my way of doing it, is to wait and see. Because on the acting side of things, I have an agent, so I know what's coming up, what I can apply for, what I want to do.
Right.
The model side, I've never taken on an agent, and 15 years in, I don't think it would benefit me at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm my own agent.
Wow.
So
Very
I'm
cool.
not sure what's going to come up next, what the next client, what the next big thing will be.
Right.
You just kind of wait and see what's going to happen next.
Falls into place.
I am proud of Stand Against Sexual Assault. Like I was saying, we just did an ad campaign, poster campaign. The next campaign coming up in October is actually, it was a boudoir shoot, highlighting the inside beauty, highlighting still feeling beautiful after surviving assault. And it's a huge art installation. That's coming out. It's an art installation, as well as it's showing the photos of each model. It will be us expressing certain things vocally. So it's kind of a mixed art installation. So I'm really excited and proud of that, because like I said, I'm all about women empowerment. So to me, that's going to be my next big deal here in a couple months.
Right on. If somebody wants to get in touch or find out more about Stand Against Sexual Assault, is there some website or something they can visit there, or?
Yeah, I can definitely send that to you. Otherwise, if you just type in, even on Facebook, STAND Against Sexual Assault, it'll bring it up.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, because that's a really big deal. They're a nonprofit, and they're just doing a really good job. And we need women empowerment. We have to lift each other up however we can. And I'm really lucky, because on the security part of my job, I'm a federal officer. My boss is a strong female woman, and she's very empowering. And it's nice to see a woman lift another woman up.
Absolutely.
on the corporate side of things, 9 times out of 10,
Not
the
so much.
majority of my bosses who were women, it was the opposite.
Right.
They were insecure and they want to keep you down, and maybe they're afraid of you taking their job. I'm not sure what the deal is.
Sure.
But a lot of women are insecure and they take it out on other women and bring them down.
Yeah.
And my sole purpose has always been lead with kindness.
Yes.
And being a strong woman isn't being a loud woman. It's leading by example and lifting other people up and being patient and being kind.
Yes.
And that's and there's too many women out there who, whatever their issues are, they feel like if I'll fight against everything and I'll be loud and I'll be aggressive and I'll be irrational. And they think, I'm being a strong, loud woman.
Yeah.
No, you're not being empowering in any way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So, but I mean, everybody has their own journey to go through. And
true enough.
I just feel like you can be a strong woman and not be a diva. You can be a secure woman and not be a diva.
Yeah.
I think that's the other issue in this industry. People feel that being a celebrity means that you're a diva and you're arrogant. No, that has nothing to do with it. You can be a strong, empowering, courageous woman without being a diva. They're two different things.
Wow, very well said. Thank you so much for that. That's awesome. So, how do we get a hold of you if we want to go follow you on social media or get in contact with you? What's the best way to do that kind of stuff?
Facebook is my name, Niki Middleton, Middleton. Cool. And Instagram is the other way around, Middleton Niki, Middleton Niki.
Cool. Right on. Well, that's very exciting. And if you're listening to this, please go give Niki a follow. She's got some great projects that are coming. So obviously that's things that you want to pay attention to. But thank you so much for your time today, Niki, and sharing those things. I think that having that experience is something that, we don't always get a chance to talk to somebody that's been around in the industry that long. So thank you so much. So
thanks for letting me ramble on.
No, that was awesome. So glad so many stories there. So right on.
Thanks. Have a great day, week,
you too.
year.
Bye.